Hi, Emily.
Hi.
I'm so happy to finally meet you after we talked on the phone.
hmm
I'm looking forward to working with you. I'm just wondering, where would you like to begin today?
I'm having kind of two different issues I think going on right now, and I'm feeling a little bit lost about them. So I think that's where I really want to go with this. I currently run a little self-owned business. I sell inflatable bouncy houses for children's parties and stuff like that. And it's not going too well, honestly. We've been losing a handful of clients recently. That were kind of our repeat customers, like every year we can count on them running bouncy houses for the kids' birthdays and stuff like that. And the business has just been really dying down lately, and it's bringing a lot of stress.
Mhm. Could you tell me a little bit more about that stress?
Yeah, I mean, like I built that business from the ground up, and I think obviously the financial stress is there, right? Because I need to be able to pay my mortgage, I need to be able to pay the bills, and without that, it's just really stressful.
Mm-hmm. So what you're telling me is you've been feeling very stressed and possibly anxious because your business has been sinking lately, and you
Mm-hmm.
don't know how you're gonna take care of yourself financially. Is that accurate?
Absolutely, yeah, that's really
Okay.
accurate. And um, I think there's this fear of having to start over for me because I had this business venture in mind since college, and I worked really hard in college to get high grades and to be successful. That way, I can be successful in this business. And I put in a lot of effort. I've been doing this for about 10 years, and I was really hoping that I could kind of make a career out of it rather than just have this be a quick chapter in my business life.
So it sounds like you haven't, since college, you've set these high standards for yourself, and it sounds like you haven't met your expectations
Mm-hmm.
with what's been happening lately. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I mean, I think even before college, I've just really set these high expectations for myself, and I want to be successful, and to be successful, you have to, have a great business and have, people there to support you, and I think that kind of leads to, my other issue that I'm having is that I'm pushing 40, and I have just not been that successful in my dating life
Mm-hmm.
recently.
Mm. It sounds like the fact that your business is going under and you haven't had a successful dating life, your inner voice is really criticizing yourself, and um, those things already have led you to probably feel a little bit of low self esteem, and
Mm-hmm.
um, your mind is repeatedly probably putting you down about that.
Yeah, I mean, I've been getting supportive words here and there from people around my life, but I definitely think that I've been a little bit of, we'll say, harsh on myself.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, I mean, like, I like to think of myself as somebody who's very self motivated. And maybe that's a detriment at the end of the day because it's really hard for me to not put myself down about these things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I understand. Do you think you place your value on your inherent sense of worth on external things?
Mm, I mean, I guess so because I mean, ever since I was little, I've always felt as though I needed to like be successful, and with being successful, that kind of means being the best, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
think when I was a kid, I had sports. When I was in college, I had my GPA, um, and now I've had my business. And without having that success in those different areas, I don't really feel like I mean, I'm hesitant to say like I feel like I'm worthless, but I mean, I guess that's the best word I can put on it.
Mm-hmm. You just feel not good enough.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Could you tell me a little bit more about what your childhood was like with in terms of having to achieve success, like you were mentioning?
Yeah, I mean, um, I was a really like hyperactive kid. I was put in sports really young just to honestly kind of tire myself out. Um, and I've really fell in love with sports. I did it all throughout high school, and um, I think that like drive for success really came from that because also, I mean, my parents, they did what they could, but once I started getting older and started getting more serious into my sports, a lot of praise came from doing well in those sports, and specifically with my coaches throughout, um, you know, my career as an athlete. You only get praise if you're the best. So if I wanted to get any kind of attention, even to get what better, I had to be the best because the coach didn't pay attention to you if you weren't.
And now those patterns are playing out in your adult life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you have to earn your parents' approval also?
Um, like I want to say no, but I think again, like my life was so involved in sports as a kid. Like inherently no, I know my parents love me, but I think we were so focused on, what it took for me to get better in something that I loved. And, I made that decision for myself. But yeah, a lot of like that praise kind of came from doing well whenever I had a game on the weekend or something like that.
I see. So, how did that make you feel as a small child? Did you feel scared or anxious, pressure? What did you feel?
Um, honestly, I think like in the early days it was just fun. And I like I said, I'm really self-motivated, so I enjoy pushing myself and I enjoy setting goals for myself. Um, but as I kind of got older, in sports you kind of hit a plateau where there's a time where you just don't get better. That was really hard to kind of handle, and then I left the sport really burnt out, I think, because I think I realized that I had done what I could in the sport. And once I like realized it was like my last year and I had nothing else to kind of look forward to, I kind of just stopped enjoying it.
I see. Yeah. You burned out.
Yeah, it was a big burnout.
But you're not burned out of your business. Would you like for it to would you like to keep to save your business and keep it going?
Yeah, absolutely. I put a lot of effort into this business and I don't want to have to start over. But I mean, kind of like with the whole athletics thing, I'm kind of hitting this point where it's harder for me to see this light at the end of the tunnel. So I'm starting to kind of lose that motivation to set better goals for myself.
So to kind of to take what you were saying, light at the end of the tunnel, what are some areas that you feel like you are doing well at in your life?
I think I have a pretty good like support network. I would say I'm pretty close with my family and I have really great friends. But I mean, I live alone because had a successful business and I was able to afford to buy a house on my own. But now it's like an empty home. I wasn't planning on it being empty for so long. My parents are out of state. My friends, we're all adults now. It's really hard to meet up and get together like we used to. So though that is a strength, I think I wish it could be a little better, I guess.
So you're self-motivated, you're pull yourself up by your bootstraps, you rely on yourself, but at the same time your strength is also a weakness because you are lonely right now, and all this self-reliance, you haven't been able to build a relationship. Have you ever had a relationship?
I have, but I haven't had a serious one, honestly, probably since college.
Okay. Can you tell me what your relationship was like in college?
Yeah, it was good. It was actually with one of my classmates. Like we were both business majors and we were both kind of those people who really enjoyed that like entrepreneurial mindset. And that's kind of how we clicked, and we dated for about 3 years, 2 years of it while in undergrad, 1 year post undergrad. And it was fine. I just think that, we just really weren't meant to be.
And that was your last relationship?
I would say my last serious relationship. I've gone on dates a handful of times since, but nothing's really came from it.
Okay. And um, what kind of characteristics are you looking for in a partner?
I mean, I think the key word there is partner, right? Like, I don't want to be waiting on hand and foot for somebody else. I want somebody who's going to be as equally as motivated as I am and be willing to, participate in the house as equally. I don't want to be like a traditional housewife. I'm very invested in my business and I want to continue being invested in my business, but that doesn't mean I can't necessarily like be a wife and a mom. But I would need, a husband that understands that and would be willing to, equally participate in helping raise the kids and keeping the house clean and all of that.
So it sounds like you want someone who's willing to compromise with you in certain areas.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I see. So shifting gears a little bit, going back to this sense of getting your worth from your business, is that something you would like to work on in therapy? Or what kind of goals would you like to set for in therapy?
I mean, I think right now these stresses that I'm dealing with my business and my relationships, it's making me a little bit like foggy and like distracted. I think I have so many things that I'm trying to focus on that it's just really hard for me to sit down and focus on one thing. So I think coming in here, I really want to just kind of declutter my mind.
What kind of things are you focusing on?
I mean, like I said before, like the business and having that go under and the relationships. I mean, like a couple weeks ago, I went on a date and I was ghosted. And, I thought the date went well and I guess it didn't. So
disappointing.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a letdown.
Okay, so long-term goals are you would like to get your business back afloat and also settle down in a long-term relationship. What are some short-term goals that we can set that will help you achieve those long-term goals? Some small steps towards those goals. What about joining a dating app or getting an accountant for your business? Are those things you would be interested in?
I mean, I think like getting an accountant or some kind of like outside expert to come in on my business is actually a good idea. Maybe like someone can come in and kind of see where my downfalls are and see, what I can do to shift my practices. That way I can keep my business going, because having to start from the ground up again really scares me.
Yeah, absolutely. So you would be interested in those short-term goals?
Yeah.
Okay. On what timeline would you be willing to achieve that short-term goal?
I mean, I think I kind of need to get the ball rolling on that. I mean, the dating life, it kind of is what it is, but I need to save my business ultimately. So, I mean, I think within like these next couple weeks, I want to get somebody in to look at what can change with my business model. Okay,
that's great. And what about for your dating life? What kind of steps would you like towards achieving that for yourself?
That one's kind of hard because I know a bunch of people have been telling me to get on the dating apps, and again, like I'm pushing 40. I feel like that's kind of the young man's game. And I had this kind of hope that I would meet someone a little bit more organically. Not to say that I'm completely against getting on a dating app, but I think that kind of feels like a last resort to me, and it just, I don't know, it just doesn't appeal to me. So I really want to meet somebody organically, but obviously, I've put my heart and soul into my business. I don't really go out. I don't really do anything other than go to work and go home. So I think maybe I need to put myself out there a little bit more.
Okay. So what about joining a recreational group or an intramural sports team? That's more organic. Or maybe taking a cooking class. Is that something you'd be interested in?
Yeah, I think, going back to sports may be good for me too, because I think I need to incorporate more of a workout regimen again. So I think I should look into more of like those like YMCA groups.
Mm-hmm.
I know like there's one down the street that I could probably sign up for. So I just
Okay.
need to look into their schedule.
Okay, great.
Mm-hmm.
So those are some great short-term steps we could take towards achieving your long-term goals. And also, I think we can reframe. You talked about wanting to reframe your focus because your mind is foggy. I think we can reframe your focus on your strengths and on what's going right in your life, and maybe gratitude, because those will help you feel better, and maybe with more confidence you'll be able to achieve your goals better.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, that makes sense when you say it. I think that will be a little bit of a challenge, and hence why I'm going to be coming here more often, because I'm just somebody, again, who is, we'll say, self-motivated into finding my faults really quickly and trying to fix them. So yeah, I think that'll be a challenge, but that's something I think I'm willing to work on with you.
Okay. What do you think are your strengths?
I would, again, very motivated. I think I'm really disciplined. I've always been somebody who like wants to work towards something. I never want to be stagnant. But at the same time, I think I'm really kind and caring. I think I've gone out of my way plenty of times to help out people, and I do it, I think, pretty selflessly. I want to not only be like financially well, even though, and that's kind of how it's been sounding during this session, but I want to be somebody who like people can rely on and can be helpful.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I kind of steer my, I guess, actions towards.
Okay, that's great. It's good to reaffirm those to yourself when you're feeling like you've made mistakes and quote unquote you're failing at relationships and your business, but you can definitely take those as a growth experience, as a learning experience, and you don't have to look at yourself as a failure. So we have about 5 minutes left. I'm wondering if there's anything else you would like to talk about.
I mean, nothing really new, but I think like right there you kind of made a point of saying, reframing your mind to like not focus on like the failure aspect of it. And that's kind of hard for me to wrap my brain around, because again, I mean, I've used, we'll say, like my faults to motivate me to be better, and like that's just what I've done forever, and I thought that was what was going to make me successful. So just for me that sounds like really hard, but I know like at the end of the day that's probably what I need to do. So yeah, I mean, not to say that like I'm not willing to do it. It's just it scares me a little bit to try to change that, but again, at the end of the day I know that's going to be what's for the better.
You sound really motivated to change. That's called the contemplation period in psychology, and I think that's wonderful that you have this willingness and desire to better your life and better yourself. So that's a great place to start from, and I'm very much looking forward to working with you.
Yeah, me too. I feel a little better after this.
That's good.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Emily.
Yeah, you're welcome. Oh no.
Shoot.
I can